in the 76-day period before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled. I'm sorry everyone's upset that we're taking some time to do it, but what we've seen and what the record shows
I'm
is
not
just
upset. Could it be that a lot of people say you haven't returned your calls? Could it be that you and your colleagues have returned the calls, but the people calling just didn't like the answer? My God. Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, patriots across this great land, buckle up. What we're about to unpack will blow your mind, raise your blood pressure, and quite frankly, make your stomach churn. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. This is Right View Nation, and we tell it like it is, raw, unfiltered, and 100% unapologetic. Now let me ask you a question. What would you do with $93 billion? Build a stronger military? Fix our crumbling roads? Support our veterans? Maybe even pay down our $34 trillion debt? Well, guess what the Department of Energy did with it? They handed it out like Halloween candy in the dead of night, in a jaw-dropping revelation that had Senator John Kennedy nearly speechless. And that's saying something. We learned that $93 billion of your hard-earned taxpayer dollars was rushed out the door during a 76-day window. That's the period between the time President Trump was elected and Biden's team packed their bags. Let me repeat that $93 billion in just 76 days. That's over $1.2 billion a day, folks. Every single day, the Department of Energy under the outgoing Biden administration was greenlighting loans and financial commitments with no business plans, no financials, and no due diligence. We're not talking about a few bureaucratic mistakes. We're talking about a coordinated, systematic financial free-for-all. Senator Kennedy asked the right question. How do you vet a single loan properly in 76 days, let alone $93 billion worth? The answer? You don't. And that's the point. The swamp creatures knew their time was running out. They were desperate to grease the palms of every woke energy startup and leftist shell company they could find before the lights went out. Senator Kennedy's words cut to the bone. They were spending money like ditch water. People had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough. That's the swamp at work, America. And we just got a rare, ugly glimpse behind the curtain. Picture this.
Mr. Chairman, I look forward to we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some of your earlier testimony, be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion. Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years. So,
how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases. As I mentioned, I'm told I'm holding back clearly in place stuff. There is lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project
So
can
you're
actually
telling
work.
me that the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan,
Correct.
no financials?
Correct. A number of those were were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled. I'm sorry everyone's upset that we're taking some time to do it, but what we've seen and what the record shows
I'm
is
not
just
upset. Could it be that
irresponsible.
a lot of people say you haven't returned your calls? Could it be that you and your colleagues have returned the calls, but the people calling just didn't like the answer? Could that be a possibility?
I'm not aware of that. You know, I give my cell phone number to any senator that
I know
wants
you
it,
do.
and I return my calls.
I mean, has your department gone dark? Somebody said your department's gone dark. Is it dark over there?
It doesn't look dark behind me.
I don't see any of you sitting on your hands. Somebody made that charge. I see everybody's hands. Let me ask you something else, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money and lie to you?
I have not experienced that, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that that has happened.
Does anybody ever come to you? Or is it conceivable that some of these folks that heard about this free money came to you with a half-baked idea?
I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I've seen such plans that were
You've seen
half-baked would be
plans
charitable.
that didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct. A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
And now you're going back through, not money that's already been contracted, but you're going back through and checking each one of these loans and these grants to make sure there was no stealing, aren't you?
We are.
And
We
you
are.
make sure there was no incompetence, aren't you? Is that correct?
We're looking at that, and yeah, my blood pressure is rising right now just thinking about what we have seen and what did happen at the department.
And you're going to tell some of these boondoggles no, aren't you?
That's correct.
And they're going to be upset, aren't they?
That's correct.
And they ought to be upset, shouldn't they?
I don't think they should be upset. I think they should be ashamed.
It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days, and it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President Biden, their boss, was leaving. Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful. Confidence undermining.
My God. Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
But that's still stealing, isn't it? And it's still illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, they were spending money at the Department of Energy like it was ditch water. Their budget went from $60 billion to $160 billion since fiscal year 2021. It just sounds to me like there were a lot of people coming to the Department of Energy who had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough. And I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
We will indeed. Senator, the one complication in there, too, is mixed in there are good companies doing good things honestly with credible plans.
And you're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. That's our job, and we're doing it. But there's a lot of chaff.
Let me ask you one final question. Let me go back to how many employees you have. Now, there have been some allegations today that you've cut tens of thousands of employees. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the allegations were thousands, and our head count will ultimately be reduced by thousands, but we are doing it slowly.
You've got 16,000 now?
Yes.
And you think you can do it with fewer than 16,000?
Correct.
What's wrong with that?
I think it's just common sense business.
Yeah. Businesses do it every day in the real world.
American taxpayers deserve it.
That's never happened in the federal government. I mean, it's easier to divorce your spouse than to get rid of a federal employee up here. That's not the way the world works, is it, Mr. Secretary?
It's not the way the world should work. And I give enormous credit to President Trump, who had the boldness to say, if there's a right thing that needs to be done and it's difficult, please do it. And so, yes, this is new territory. This is not what happens normally in the federal government, but it is what needs to happen periodically in the federal government. And I give the credit to President Trump, who's willing to take the heat and has set the departments free. Make the changes you need to make to better serve American taxpayers and American consumers. And across his administration, that's what's being done.
All right. On that note, I just wanted to clear that up, Mr. Secretary, because I don't know you to be a person who doesn't return his phone calls or take care of business. And my guess is you don't tolerate people around you who take a cavalier approach to their job. And I wanted to get that on the record. I applaud you for being able to do the job with fewer people. Thank you for being here today. Thank you to all of your staff. Y'all can't take the rest of the day off. It's still the hearing record's going to remain open for a week. Some senators may send you additional questions. They might submit additional information for the record within that time. It's their prerogative. If they have questions, I hope you'll try to answer them in a reasonable amount of time. I want to thank you for being here today, and the subcommittee will now stand adjourned.
Thank you, Senator, and the committee. Thank you.
A company walks into the Department of Energy and says, "Hey, I don't have a business plan. I don't have a location. I don't even know how to stay solvent. But just give me the money, and I'll figure it out later." And the DOE says, "Sounds great. Here's a blank check, courtesy of the American taxpayer. You can't make this stuff up. These weren't entrepreneurs. These were grifters in suits. And our government rolled out the red carpet. Even the current energy secretary, to his credit, admitted the chaos. He confirmed that they're now reviewing every single one of these boondoggles to determine whether fraud, incompetence, or outright theft occurred. And guess what? They're finding plenty. So much so that the secretary flat out said, half-baked would be charitable. You know what else he said? Some of these folks should be ashamed. Darn right they should. But let's be real. Shame is something these swamp bureaucrats don't feel. Not when they're backed by globalist donors and protected by unaccountable agencies. And this is exactly why President Trump was right when he said it's time to drain the swamp. He knew. He saw it coming. And the only reason this type of institutional rot continues to infect our government is because no one holds these people accountable. We need to stop pretending that government waste is some accidental oversight. It's not. It's intentional, it's systemic, and it's designed to benefit the elites. Not you, not me, and sure as hell not middle America. You know what else shocked the left today? The secretary had the audacity to say they're cutting thousands of federal employees. Good, because as Senator Kennedy rightly pointed out, it's easier to divorce your spouse than to fire a federal employee. That's how bad it's gotten. Bloated agencies, lifetime bureaucrats, and zero results. It's time to strip these departments down to the studs and rebuild them with America First principles: efficiency, transparency, and loyalty to the taxpayer. Folks, this isn't about left versus right anymore. This is about corruption versus accountability. It's about a government that treats your paycheck like monopoly money. And while the media yawns and the Beltway class shrugs its shoulders, we the people are done. This story proves everything we've been shouting from the rooftops for years. The swamp is real. Your money is being looted. And without fighters like Senator Kennedy, we'd never even hear about it. If this outraged you like it outraged me, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below and tell us what you would do with $93 billion instead. Share this video with every red-blooded American you know. Because this isn't just another hearing. This is a wake-up call. And here at Right View Nation, we don't hit snooze. We expose, we fight, and we win. Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and remember, we are the storm, and the swamp is scared.